The cameras were supposed to be rolling in a federal courtroom by March 2026, but instead, the spotlight has gone dark for a little longer. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, once promoted as the passionate creative duo behind the film adaptation of It Ends With Us, are now locked in a legal showdown so volatile that even the judge has had to press pause. What began as a love story on screen has twisted into a story of alleged harassment, retaliation, and reputational warfare that threatens to spill far beyond Hollywood and into the way the industry handles power, consent, and control. The trial that was meant to start on March 9, 2026, has been pushed back by more than 2 months, with a new date set for May 18, 2026. The decision came from Judge Louis J. Lemon during a post-discovery status hearing, where he told the lawyers for both sides that his calendar was already dominated by 2 criminal cases that must come first. He stressed that as significant as the Lively Baldoni case may be, criminal matters take priority in a federal courtroom, and the civil fight between 2 Hollywood names would have to wait. But this delay is not just a simple scheduling shift. It lands in the middle of an already feverish media cycle surrounding Blake Lively's accusations and Justin Baldoni's countermoves, and it gives both sides extra months to shape public opinion before a jury ever hears a word. Judge Lemon has set January 22 as the next major date, when lawyers will argue over summary judgment, a legal gate where parts of the case, or even the entire trial, could be cut down before jurors are seated. At the same time, he has directed the parties toward a magistrate judge to discuss a possible settlement, a signal that the window for making this disappear quietly has not entirely closed. To understand how Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni ended up here, it is necessary to rewind to the set of It Ends With Us, and to the first formal complaints that began to fracture their working relationship. In December 2024, Blake Lively, then 38, filed a complaint with the California Civil Rights Department, accusing Justin Baldoni, 41, of creating a hostile work environment on the production. She alleged repeated sexual harassment, boundary violations during intimate scenes, and uninvited intrusions into private spaces that made the set feel less like a professional workplace and more like a battleground over her body and her boundaries. According to that complaint, Lively claimed that Baldoni improvised kisses during romantic scenes that had not been agreed upon, discussed his sex life in ways that made her uncomfortable, and entered her makeup trailer uninvited while she was undressed, including times when she was breastfeeding. She described this not as a single misunderstanding, but as a pattern of behavior that escalated into what she called a campaign of social manipulation intended to destroy her reputation when she pushed back. Documents obtained through subpoenas, she argued, showed a coordinated effort to discredit her in both traditional media and on social platforms, undermining her image as a bankable, respected star. Blake Lively did not stop at an administrative complaint. On December 31, 2024, she escalated the conflict by filing a sexual harassment and retaliation lawsuit in federal court against Justin Baldoni and his company, Wayfarer Studios. The suit alleged that when she reported what she considered harassment and unsafe conditions, she was met not with accountability but with punishment. Professional marginalization, a smear campaign, and an attack on her character meant to discourage her and others from speaking out. She is now seeking more than $160 million in damages, a number that reflects not just emotional distress, but the value she believes she lost in future opportunities and reputation. Justin Baldoni, known publicly for his carefully curated image as a sensitive, introspective filmmaker, has denied Lively's allegations. Rather than simply defending himself in her case, he went on the offensive. He filed his own legal actions, including a defamation suit reportedly targeting not only Blake Lively's camp, but also institutions like the New York Times, claiming that he had been subjected to a false narrative crafted to destroy him. In this version of events, it is Baldoni who is the victim of what his lawyers characterize as an actual smear campaign, orchestrated through Blake Lively's representatives and public relations team. One key figure in Baldoni's counterattack is publicist Leslie Sloan, a longtime Hollywood operator whose client list has included Lindsay Lohan, Katie Holmes, and Chris Rock. In Baldoni's complaint, his attorneys describe Sloan as a master practitioner of the dark arts of public relations, accusing her of leading an intricately planned character assassination plot against him at Lively's direction. They claim that Sloan privately escalated the accusations, allegedly telling a reporter that Baldoni had sexually assaulted Lively, a phrase that if proven false could amount to defamation on a massive scale. But that allegation has already started to unravel in a very public way. The reporter whose text message had been cited by Baldoni's side came forward and clarified that Leslie Sloan had never actually used the phrase sexually assaulted in their communication. Sloan herself has maintained that she never framed the situation in those terms and has asked to be dismissed from the case, distancing herself from the most explosive language attached to her name. That twist does not erase the broader accusations of a PR-driven smear campaign, but it does complicate Baldoni's narrative about how far Lively's camp was willing to go. As these filings and counter-filings stack up, Judge Lewis Lemon's courtroom has become the stage for a much larger drama about power and credibility in the entertainment industry. At one point, Justin Baldoni launched a $400 million defamation lawsuit against Blake Lively, a staggering number that signaled both his sense of damage and his willingness to fight in public. That suit, however, hit a major wall when the judge dismissed it, undercutting Baldoni's attempt to turn himself into the primary plaintiff in the story. What remains now is Lively's court case against Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios, and a trial that has grown only more charged as time passes. The delay to May 18, 2026 does not just push the calendar, it prolongs uncertainty for both sides. For Blake Lively, every additional month means living with allegations that are, by definition, still unproven in court, but endlessly dissected in the court of public opinion. For Justin Baldoni, it means continuing to work under a cloud that has already forced him to publicly address claims of harassment, retaliation, and manipulation that strike directly at his brand as a progressive, emotionally aware storyteller. Behind the scenes, both camps are undoubtedly calculating what a settlement would look like, especially after Judge Lemon suggested involving a magistrate judge to facilitate talks. A settlement could shut down the spectacle before any witness testifies under oath or any studio emails are read out in open court, but it would also raise the question that always hangs over high-profile Hollywood deals. Would it be about truth or about damage control? A public trial, on the other hand, threatens to expose the internal workings of a major production, including how complaints are handled, how PR strategies are coordinated, and how far powerful people are willing to go to protect their images. The project at the center of this storm, It Ends With Us, was originally sold to audiences as a sensitive, emotional romance based on a best-selling novel. Instead, it has become the backdrop for a conversation about the gap between on-screen narratives and off-screen behavior. Lively, long seen as a polished, media-savvy star, is now asking a jury to believe that in private she was subjected to repeated violations and then punished when she spoke up. Baldoni, meanwhile, insists that what is unfolding is not accountability but character assassination, executed through the combined power of celebrity and strategic media leaks. The broader entertainment industry will be watching closely, not just for the eventual verdict, but for what comes out during the pre-trial and trial phases. Emails, texts, and internal memos could reveal how executives, producers, and publicists reacted when Blake Lively first raised concerns, and whether anyone tried to stop the situation from escalating before lawyers and reporters got involved. If the evidence supports her account of improvised intimacy and uninvited trailer visits, it will add to a growing body of stories about how vulnerable even the most powerful women in Hollywood can be on set. If, on the other hand, Justin Baldoni can convince a jury that this was an overblown or weaponized narrative, engineered through PR spin and media alliances, it will send a chilling message about how easily allegations can backfire. It would also embolden those who argue that the post-Me Too landscape has turned too quickly into trial by headline. The stakes are not just financial. They cut into the reputations that fuel future casting, directing offers, brand deals, and the long-term legacies of both Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Judge Lewis Lemon's insistence that criminal cases take priority might sound procedural, but in this context it almost reads as commentary. In a justice system where not every allegation becomes a criminal charge, high-profile civil cases like this one become proxy trials for broader cultural questions about what counts as harassment, what counts as retaliation, and who gets believed when stories conflict. By bumping the Lively Baldoni trial down the calendar, the court is reminding everyone that, at least for now, this remains a dispute over money and reputation, not prison or freedom. Still, for fans of both stars, the delay offers no comfort. Each new headline pulls their names back into a narrative that no longer resembles a simple celebrity feud, and the comments sections fill with people taking sides, dissecting every filing, every lawyer's statement, every leaked line about unwanted kisses or dark arts PR tactics. The longer the case drags on, the more it forces audiences to decide whether they see Blake Lively as a whistleblower or a strategist, and whether they see Justin Baldoni as a predator or a target. By the time May 18, 2026 arrives, if it does, and if another delay does not intervene, the courtroom will not just be a venue for testimony. It will be a final arena for two carefully constructed public personas. Blake Lively will walk in as an A-list actor claiming she risked everything to speak out against a powerful collaborator, and that she was dragged through the mud for it. Justin Baldoni will arrive as a director and producer who says his life's work and reputation were nearly destroyed by accusations he insists are exaggerated, misrepresented, or outright false. There is a possibility that jurors will never get to decide which story is closer to the truth. Summary judgment could slice away some of Blake Lively's claims or Justin Baldoni's defenses before a trial even begins. Or a last-minute settlement could transform the entire saga into a confidential agreement sealed outside the public eye. That outcome would leave the public with only fragments: court filings, media interpretations, and the lingering knowledge that somewhere in closed-door negotiations, numbers and conditions were traded in place of definitive answers. For now, what remains is a countdown to a delayed date and an unresolved clash between two names once sold as co-stars and creative partners. The production company, Wayfarer Studios, has already tried to calm the narrative, saying that the shift in timing has no bearing on the underlying pleadings and that the judge's review of the evidence will decide what comes next. But outside the careful language of corporate statements, the story playing out in headlines and social feeds has become something messier, more emotional, and far harder to control. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni are no longer just actor and director, or co-stars of a movie about complicated love and painful choices. They are opposing symbols in a fight about who holds power on a set, who shapes the narrative when a relationship collapses, and how far each side is willing to go when the cameras turn away from the script and toward the truth. And with the trial postponed, the only certainty is that the audience will have even more time to argue, speculate, and choose whose story they are ready to believe when the courtroom lights finally come up.